We have some big news, folks, right now. There are anti-Trump protests breaking out across the country, and according to latest reports, they're bigger than even the organizers initially expected. I actually just drove by one in Los Angeles where you had dozens of people out on the roads with signs protesting Elon Musk, signs protesting Donald Trump. You had tens of thousands of people in Midtown, thousands of people in Washington, D.C., thousands in Houston, Texas. You had people protesting in Italy, across the world. I mean, it was a major protest, and it's still going on as we speak. It's still growing as I make this video, and it's not going to stop. The first hands off protest was on April 5th. The second one is now on April 19th, and there'll be more in the next several weeks and months. And I'll provide you updates and dates about where these protests will be, when they'll be. So stay tuned for that. To all those who want to support my work, consider becoming a paid subscriber to my Substack by clicking the button below, or supporting my work by sending a one-time donation via Venmo to Aaron-Parnas. Not only are we the number one best-selling news Substack in the world, but we're also number one on the rising charts. It is a truly significant moment for independent media, and I am doing this with no corporate backers, no ads, just me, you, and your support. So thank you so much. In addition, there's internal chaos right now within the Trump Department of Defense, led by Pete Hegseth. 3 senior appointees at the Department of Defense were fired on Friday after being placed on leave for allegedly leaking information without authorization. And while today, the officials, Dan Caldwell, a senior advisor to Pete Hegseth, Darren Selnick, Hegseth's deputy chief of staff, and Colin Carroll, the chief of staff to the deputy secretary of defense, issued a joint statement claiming that the Pentagon had, quote, slandered their character with baseless attacks on their way out the door. So chaos within the Pentagon. Pope Francis, meanwhile, snubbed an official meeting with JD Vance. According to the Daily Beast, Pope Francis did not attend the official meeting today in the Vatican with Vice President JD Vance, instead sending Secretary of State Cardinal Pietro Parolin in his place. Parolin issued a Vatican statement that he used the opportunity to emphasize compassion and discuss global issues such as war, political unrest, and humanitarian crises, particularly those impacting migrants, refugees, and prisoners. Now, the Pope did eventually meet with the Vice President for a brief moment in a private, unofficial meeting, but the official statement from the Vatican, well, the Pope didn't meet with him. The Pope snubbed Vance and instead sent his deputy to lecture the Vice President. Meanwhile, the Trump administration has told the United States Supreme Court that it intends to remove a group of Venezuelan migrants detained in northern Texas using legal avenues other than the Alien Enemies Act, even as litigation continues over whether or not they could even use that authority in the first place. This was the first response after the court's order at 1 a.m. Eastern Time overnight blocking deportations under the Alien Enemies Act. The United States Supreme Court is set to hear arguments this week in Mahmoud versus Taylor, a case that could significantly impact parental rights and LGBTQ plus representation in public school curricula. The case focuses on whether or not elementary schools must notify parents and allow them to opt their children out of reading LGBTQ plus inclusive books. The Trump administration struck an optimistic tone after high-stakes second round of nuclear talks with Iranian officials in Rome, describing the discussions as productive. Quote, "We made very good progress in our direct and indirect discussions," a senior official told CNN after a lengthy 4-hour meeting. In addition, the U.S. Naval Academy canceled a scheduled lecture by author and podcaster Ryan Holiday after he refused to remove references to the Academy's recent book bans from his presentation. Holiday, known for his work on Stoicism, intended to discuss the pursuit of wisdom and had included a slide referencing the removal of nearly 400 books from the Academy's library, including titles like Maya Angelou's I Know Why the Caged Bird Sings and Ibram X. Kendi's How to Be an Anti-Racist. Sorry about that. At a town hall this week, Representative James Clyburn warned about the dangers of political complacency, saying he hopes the United States does not follow the path of 1930s Germany during the Nazi rise to power, saying, quote, "All we can do is share with you what we're doing and ask for your prayers that this country will not allow itself to go the way of Germany in the 1930s, where people stood by." And finally, the measles epidemic is growing in the United States. Cases now have surged past 800. Spanning 24 states. Montana just confirmed its first measles case since 1999. Folks, that's all the news right now. Sorry for being a bit flustered, but I appreciate your support. Please consider subscribing to my Substack by clicking the button below or sending a one-time donation via Venmo to Aaron-Parnas, and I'll see you in the morning.